Hey, Steph, yeah, thank you very much. You're right in that the affected areas have now reopened. Police, however, continuing to investigate after shots fired at tow trucks and their drivers. And this is at two separate locations overnight. Fortunately, no one was injured. So this first drive-by shooting happened just before midnight at the on-ramp to the 401 at Avenue Road. This was at a tow truck that was parked on the grassy area there. There are reports that dozens of shots were fired from a black car, possibly a Mercedes. No one was hit. The second shooting happened a short time later at the Oriole GO station near Leslie and the 401. Up to 6 shots fired at that location from a dark-colored vehicle. No one hit in that drive-by shooting either. Now, this is a live shot from the site where the second shooting happened. Again, this is the one near Leslie and the 401. In both locations, the car described as a dark-colored, possibly a Mercedes, but dark-colored vehicle, I should say, possibly a Mercedes. So far, police not confirming that the two shootings are linked. This does appear, though, that it may be linked to the ongoing tow truck war that we continue to follow in the city. Police right now are appealing for anyone who might have information or perhaps dashcam video to please contact them. Well, in a new video released just minutes ago, Premier Doug Ford is calling on all Ontarians to help fight the spread of COVID-19 together. Have a listen.
Restez à la maison, taisai jali, lo fun, hi okay, stare e casa, correro, cadete en casa, shalik, vi elevate.
I want to know how long he was practicing. Okay, so this comes as the province starts to see a downward trend in new daily infections with 2,655 cases reported yesterday. But the pandemic is still taking a deadly toll. 89 deaths were reported. This morning at 10 o'clock, Health Minister Christine Elliott will be making an announcement alongside the Associate Minister of Mental Health and Addictions and the Minister of Seniors and Accessibility. We're going to be holding that press conference, or following it on our website, I should say, citynews.ca. Meantime, the Ford government is sending more than 100,000 students back to school on Monday. 7 school boards will be returning to class next week under public health units in Grey Bruce, Haliburton Hastings, Kingston, Leeds, Peterborough, and Renfrew County. Keep in mind, Toronto, Peel, York, and Windsor-Essex are still in the online classes until at least February the 11th, with no date given yet for the remaining boards. But COVID-19 biostatistician and educator Ryan Imgren says there's concern the move is coming too soon.
I certainly do think schools have been a driving force of the transmission, not just here in Ontario, but worldwide.
So he says for schools to safely reopen anywhere in the province, there needs to be asymptomatic testing. The government had started doing some in hot zones just before Christmas, and it's promising to do more when schools do return. And coming up here on Breakfast Television, Mayor John Tory joins us for his weekly check-in. We have a lot to talk about, including the return of some students, the province-wide vaccine shortage, and the mayor saying he is looking for answers from Pfizer. Again, that interview coming up just after 7 o'clock today. Now, testing has identified a COVID-19 variant in 6 swabs from that outbreak that we're following at Roberta Place, the long-term care home in Barrie. It is suspected, but still not confirmed, that the cases are linked to the new UK variant. The 2-part testing results will be available in 3 to 4 days. What we know, 122 residents at the home, 69 staff, and 2 visitors have all tested positive. And so far, there have been 19 deaths at this facility. The World Health Organization says the faster spreading variant of COVID, first reported in the UK, has now shown up in 60 countries and regions globally. One, which first surfaced in South Africa, has now spread to 23 countries and regions. While this variant spreads more easily, there's no proof that it is more deadly. So this is the first full day of work for the new Biden and Harris administration south of the border. But yesterday, the country paused to witness history being made in Washington.
I, Kamala Davy Harris, do solemnly swear
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States.
that I will support and defend the Constitution of the United States
Against
I, Joseph Robinette Biden Jr., do solemnly swear
that I will faithfully execute
that I will faithfully execute
the office of President of the United States.
the office of President of the United States.
Fireworks, celebrations capping this historic day with a star-studded musical lineup virtually for the nation. Now, earlier, Joe Biden, at the age of 78, became the oldest person to be sworn in as president, and Kamala Harris making history, becoming the first female and woman of color vice president. It was a scaled-back affair, of course, because of COVID. Now, Prime Minister Justin Trudeau will be the first world leader to speak to President Biden tomorrow, and you can bet this will be on the agenda: the cancellation of the Keystone XL pipeline. Biden wasting no time in reversing some of Donald Trump's decisions, and one of them was to pull the permit for the $8 billion Trans-Canada pipeline. The project was to send more than 800,000 barrels of Alberta crude to the southern U.S. and had the blessing of the Canadian government. Now, Biden campaigned on killing the project over environmental concerns. One energy industry watcher says canceling the project is bad news on both sides of the border.
For Canadians, it's a double whammy, because not only are we losing jobs in the energy sector, which is our most important energy and economic sector, we're also looking at much higher price. The cost of living in Canada is about to go through the roof.
Canadian reaction was swift. The Prime Minister saying, while we welcome the President's commitment to fight climate change, we are disappointed, but acknowledge the President's decision to fulfill his election promise on Keystone XL. Alberta Premier Jason Kenney calls the move a gut punch, likely to cost his province $1 billion, and is calling for sanctions against the U.S. And from Keystone and beyond, how else will the new Biden administration impact us here in Canada? We've got a lot to look ahead to. We've got Parliament Hill reporter Cormac McSweeney. He'll be joining me just around 8 o'clock this morning. We're going to break it all down for our viewers here. And coming up next, the markets, well, they had a pretty positive reaction to the Biden-Harris inauguration. Mike Eppel with more after the break.